Are you looking for joy, peace, and a life filled with fulfillment and purpose? Are you wanting to stay aligned in your vortex no matter what's going on around you? Are you ready to live the life that you were meant to live? An extraordinary life?
Welcome to Journey into the Vortex, where metaphysics meets real life. I am Mary Roseman, joined by my co-hosts Marcella Nitschke and Heather Wells. We are three ordinary women living extraordinary lives. Through our personal quests and years of deep exploration into the realms of metaphysics, we have seen our lives transformed and turned to extraordinary experiences. And we have joyfully embraced the calling to share all these amazing teachings and tools with you, that you may also experience the magic and wonder of a completely different way of being in the world.
Our purpose is to present to you the different paths we have explored throughout all of these years. We will have discussions on the different modalities, the different practices, the different teachers, and we will also share how we have applied these specific principles and tools in our lives, as well as our personal stories of how we have seen our lives transformed in really amazing ways.
Welcome back, everybody. We're very pleased to have you here today, and we've got a juicy topic today called Coming Out of the Metaphysical Closet.
So, Mary, maybe we need to start this episode with actually defining or explaining what the definition of metaphysical is, and what our definition of coming out of the closet means.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So what's the definition of closet?
Well, obviously there's the storage of clothes, like a wardrobe and stuff. And then there's another one that refers to a state of secrecy or concealment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And metaphysics is a study.
Metaphysics.
Yeah. Generally seeking to explain inherent or universal elements of reality, which are not easily discovered or experienced in our everyday life. As such, it is concerned with explaining the features of reality that exist beyond the physical world and our immediate senses. So, I don't know that cleared everything up, but we're going to kind of give you examples of specifically the part explaining the features of reality that exists beyond the physical world or our senses.
So what do we mean coming out of the metaphysical closet? Coming out of not being secret or not hiding those beliefs we have, those mostly beliefs and practices.
That's how I personally feel. I feel like I have been in the metaphysical closet, meaning I'm living a dual life almost of my normal everyday life with being a mom, being a realtor, being out with girlfriends, friends, and, going out for drinks, and then I have this whole, what I do at home or when I'm with you girls and the deeper discussions I think we have, and the universal source energy and synchronicities and our views, right? Because we view every situation, I think, in a very different way than so. Yeah. So for me, it's I don't talk about it, and I might practice it, but I don't talk about it. I don't teach. I don't explain. I feel. I don't know if sometimes I'm getting better about it, but there was a time I felt people would think I was weird or strange or
right. I can give you an example. I was talking to a niece one time, and she was going through I won't get too detailed, but just a situation where forgiveness work was very much needed. And I had read them The Little Soul in the Sun. This is a Neil
Donald Walsh.
Thank you. Neil Donald Walsh book, children's book. And it talks about how, prior to coming to your lifetime, you have a contract of beloveds who are going to teach you what love is, who are going to teach you what forgiveness is. So the beloved that has trespassed against you or has caused you, betrayed you, or whatever the case is, this is a contract that you have made, and they're teaching you this. And so I'm reminding her, let this Bubba go. This was an experience. Check it off. Look at all the gifts that he's brought you. Focus on that. Focus on the fact that I have only brought you angels, only brought you beloveds. And it makes it easier to forgive if you know that you've played this part in setting this scenario up. Now, we all know this, but you know how nutty that sounds.
Right.
How crazy that sounds. But she was in this place where it was months into this, she had broken up with this young man, and she just couldn't release it. She just couldn't let it go, right? So she's really festering and wallowing in this state of victimization. And so I got the book out and we read it together, and you can see the tears coming out of her eyes because there's that new realization there, right? Yeah. There's just this relief there. Now, coming out of the closet, the way I bring this story up is I discern, who am I going to say this to? Well, I'm kind of so past it that I say this to anybody now. And it can either blow up in my face or there's curiosity.
So a question, how do you respond when, because I know it happens to you that people come and say, hey, you're always happy, you're always like, this is happening to you, and yet you're always like so happy and like happy-go-lucky kind of attitude, right? So how do you talk about metaphysics when they...
I actually say now that I say it's an intentional practice, the intentional practice of how I choose to find joy and be happy. I actually this morning, because I'm in real estate, I'm a realtor, and I was listing a house this morning, and the lady says to me, she goes, Heather, and we're talking about what to price her house, and I'm telling her it's going to sell fast, and I'm telling her, it's all going to work out timing wise. And part of me, I feel I have to be careful saying that, but part of me is like, no, it always does. I know everything lines up. But she looks at me and she says, Heather, are you always this positive, or is it, I forgot how she said it, are you just positive, or are you really sure? And I said, well, I always am optimistic and I am always positive, but I'm always very strategic and I know what I'm doing also. So again, it's kind of that take action. Mm-hmm. I don't just say woo-woo positive to, it's like the secret. And I don't just, but it was funny how she said that, and I don't always realize, because she's kind of a stranger. It's not somebody, it's somebody I met a month or two ago. But she said, are you always this positive? Or are you for sure? Do you for sure know this is how it's going to happen? I was like, both, both I am, but.
Mm-hmm. So do you think we should be talking more openly about, because I know that, well, you marry, you lead groups, and people know you always talk about metaphysics, so you.
Well, I think because it has made a huge difference in my life. And I've shared with y'all before, I grew up in a very, very victim mentality. And so this really transformed my life and made a difference. And the thing about it is, when you practice metaphysics, it's not that the trials and tribulations of humanity do not fall in your lap and do not occur. But when you practice these principles and you apply, it's like Heather does not let any type of obstacles in her way of thinking. She's just going to sell this house and that's all there is to it. she doesn't even entertain any of this. Whereas when you grow up as a victim, that's all you're projecting and perceiving on is how much worse can it get, right? Or don't cancel, right? You don't want to put that out into the universe. It's how good can it get, right?
So, Mary, when you so-called it came out of the metaphysical closet, which you probably didn't even realize at the time that you did, it came with great risk. You came out with different beliefs, but
you could say it was at great risk. But what I found was I was living such a stifled life, and there just came a point where it didn't matter. It didn't matter because you know what, Heather? Whether I'm in the closet or out of the closet, I was an odd duck. And that comes to being. That's the part of just being that metaphysics speaks of. And so if I was auditing myself and watching my P's and Q's of who I was, I just couldn't
live.
be.
You couldn't breathe.
Right. So.
And then Marcella, I feel like you really didn't care. Like if you're nuns or you.
Yeah. Well, it just happened in stages. But what I was thinking, like what I shared with you guys earlier, was like, so coming out of the closet for me is two things. One is all these things that I believe, that I explore throughout the years, that I kept to myself, and it shaped my worldview, my view of everything. But I would not just talk about them, right? Like. It just depends with whom, right? But the other side is like we were talking about coming out of the closet in the sense of, okay, we have been exploring metaphysics, the three of us, for at least 20 years. Mm-hmm. And we have delved into a lot of different teachings, practiced, and seen the amazing power of really, knowing those principles and waking up to the truths that are really not mainstream at all. And so we're ready now to come and share with the world. That is a big step for me because like we were talking the other day, Mary does it every day, right? You are a teacher, you facilitate, you have your groups, but Heather is, like we were laughing the other day, the most normal, because you are in circles that you really have to be very mainstream, right? I am kind of like neutral because I'm pretty picky about who I hang out with, and I get very bored in the mainstream conversation. Mm-hmm. So I kind of I can do it, but not really on an everyday basis. But teaching to me is like, I don't. But I am ready to, not to teach, but to share all these amazing things and to tell people what is out there to explore, that they go and try it for themselves. They try different teachings. A lot of our audience, I would think, have heard about The Secret, or there are really basic, first
terminologies
calls,
first calls.
Yeah.
Meditation. People know the word meditation.
Exactly.
People know.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think we've organically all had this calling that, okay, we've done the work, now it's time to reach more people. And I think we've discussed before how we've read the books, you've followed people, you've had the teachers, people have gone to church, you have a minister, but now it's time for the everyday person who I feel like we three women are ordinary women. It's time for us to share. Mm-hmm. And the listeners feel brave enough to spread this. It's spreading.
And explore.
Explore.
And like you were saying, Mary, with there's so many examples, so many stories we can share about just how metaphysics made it. And we're going to have this chapter called Life Without Metaphysical Awareness, and then we can share what was her biggest, moment when we looked and said, gosh, I don't know how I would have handled it if I had not this awareness. Because sometimes we create circumstances in our lives that are a little seem to be a little difficult to handle, and yet there always calls for miracles and for amazing things to, the big step, the big next step
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
That is beautiful what she said. And see, that's what we want to bring to you. We have ordinary lives. We have,
When we say 3 women living extraordinary lives, let's be clear. That doesn't mean we don't have issues. It's just we feel like now we have the tools how to deal with an issue. If you have a bill that you don't think you can pay, or if you have a car accident, we now feel like we have the tools. We're not living
at the mercy of circumstances.
Right.
We take accountability, we create those circumstances, and we're going to talk about how we create our reality. But I'm sure that a lot of people in our audience have read about a law of attraction, how we actually are. But once we take ownership of our reality, and we look at it with the lenses of these metaphysical principles, there's nothing really that cannot be brought up to light and made and become amazing.
Right.
And there's no curse, really.
There is no
curse.
There's no curse. What could seem like the most negative thing is probably in some form of, it is a miracle. There's going to be something and some reason that was brought up.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so with these experiences that we've had and this wisdom that we have, I've got a huge call, a huge boosting, a huge pushing me off the cliff of really sharing with you how you can transform your life, right, into the extraordinary. It's not that you're not going to have your human experiences, but yeah, in the whole transcendent journey, it's awesome.
So next episode will be
how about life without
the awareness, metaphysics. Yes, what would it be like? And then we can share, just to give you a little intro, we can share our biggest experience or our biggest moment when we really said, okay, this is where I really need to look at this differently. I really need to delve into those principles that I believe. Do I really believe in this? And we have applied it, and we have seen the wonders and the miracles happen one after another. So together we will
journey into the vortex.
We hope you have enjoyed today's dialogue. Please do not hesitate to let us know if you have questions, suggestions, or simply want to connect. You can reach us through our website at journeyintothevortex.com, Facebook, or Instagram. We hope you will join us again as we continue this transformative journey into the vortex.